It's logically possible. It doesn't necessarily mean that when I mean it's logically possible, I mean, yeah, like if I throw 100 dice on the table, they could all they could land on all sixes. In the same sense, there could be a world where everyone just worships God and they have free will. However, God can't guarantee it because it's up to the person. That's what I mean.
Okay, so that's not answering my question, right? So are you understanding possibility? Are you understanding God's omnipotence as that he can actualize any logically possible state of affairs?
Yeah, I'm just saying it's logically impossible for God to guarantee it.
That's not answering the question that I asked you. The question I'm asking is, do you understand God's omnipotence as his capacity to actualize any logically possible state of affairs?
Yes.
Okay, so that's yes. So God can actualize any logically possible state of affairs, right?
Yes.
Okay, is it logically possible is it a logically possible state of affairs that the only beings that exist are ones who always do the good?
Yes, that is possible. However, God can't guarantee it because it's up to the human.
Wait, you just said, right, that God can actualize any logically possible state of affairs.
He can't guarantee that possible world. Like it can happen,
Again,
but he can't guarantee it.
It can fail.
Again, let's just get clear, right? God's omnipotence is his capacity to actualize any logically possible state of affairs, right?
Yes, it's logically possible for him to create an environment where people could have free will.
This is not answering. You're just not addressing the question.
He did say yes.
I'm just going to go back to the question that I asked. Okay, so look, this is just very simple logic, right? If God's omnipotence is his capacity to actualize any logically possible state of affairs, right? And if a world in which beings existed that could only do the good,
it's possible for him to create
only do the good, rather, right? Is a logically possible state of affairs, then God could actualize it.
Moshi, can you try to control yourself? Wait until he's done and then respond.
Okay, bro. It's okay, fine. But if that's the case,
I'm gonna moderate. I'm gonna moderate everyone else.
Okay,
I'm just asking you.
Okay, I'll do it. I appreciate if he doesn't interrupt me then when I speak.
Yeah, go ahead. Jack's a good person to talk to. He's not going to. I suppose.
Okay, perfectly. Okay, what I'm saying is this. Okay, it is a possibility for there to be a world. It's a possibility for there to be a world where people have free will and they all worship God. But God can't guarantee that world would be the case because it's up to the person. That's what it is. Now, if you were to say, oh, can God make it so these people worship him? That's a completely different story because they have free will. So essentially what you're saying is it's like saying can God create a married bachelor? Do you understand? Or a seven-sided triangle?
I'm just not seeing how you're addressing the argument, right? The argument is that God has the capacity to actualize any logically possible state of affairs. That you've agreed to. So if it's a logically possible state of affairs in which, if it's logically possible that there's a world in which free beings exist that always choose the good, then God could actualize that.
I'm saying he can't guarantee that possibility, Jack.
That was a straightforward logical entailment.
No, not at all. No, because what your question is this. Okay, and I want to. If this is what you thought I meant, then I want to retract. You're basically saying, can God guarantee that he can actualize that possibility? And then my answer is no. He can't guarantee it because the free will is up to the human. God can't guarantee all things, but he can do all things.
Again, it's just a simple argument, right? I'm understanding omnipotence as God's capacity to actualize any logically possible state of affairs, right? And then there's the second question is the existence of a world in which the free beings only choose the good, if that's a logically possible state of affairs? You said yes.
Yes.
So if it's logically possible for that to be a state of affairs, and God can actualize any logically possible state of affairs, it just follows straightforwardly that he could actualize that world.
No, but there's a slight there's a slight distinction. Okay, the reason why it's possible is because technically it's possible that every human can decide to worship God. God can't guarantee it, but he can. It's basically like saying this. Okay, if there's a playground and I set 10 kids to go play on the playground, technically it's logically possible that all the kids can create the perfect sandcastle, and it's the exact same identical sandcastle. It's possible, but I can't guarantee that these kids would do that. Some kids might want to play on the slides and not make sandcastles. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, because all I can see is that there are two premises which you're saying are true, and the conclusion follows from those premises. So either you deny a premise, or you deny that there's you want to argue that there's some invalid rule of inference.
Yes, I'm saying
employed.
I'm saying I disagree that he can guarantee it. God can't guarantee.
I didn't say anything about guarantee.
However, he can do every possibility. Do you understand?
I didn't say anything about guarantee. Nothing in the premises, right, that I asked you to affirm said anything about guarantee.
Okay. Okay, so can you say it again then?
Yeah, so I'm understanding God's omnipotence to be his capacity to actualize any logically possible state of affairs, that is, any logically possible world,
okay,
and a world in which free beings always choose the good is a logically possible world, and it follows that God could have chosen to actualize that world.
Okay, yes, he can do it. Absolutely, but he can't guarantee it.
Why do you keep talking about a guarantee?
That is, because that's not any part of the argument, right? The argument is that he could have actualized that world. So if it was possible for him to actualize that world.
No, because
right.
Okay, so sorry, Jack. I guess what I'm saying is this. Okay, like for example, okay, just as a and this is the way I see it, and maybe I'm wrong, honestly. And if I am, please let me know. For example, God can actualize a world for me where I can score a 3-pointer. By the way, I suck at basketball. Where I can score a 3-pointer. Cool. He created an environment for me where I can score a 3-pointer. He actualized that possibility of that world. However, it's on me to score it. He can't guarantee that I'm going to score that 3-pointer. He actualized the possibility of that world, sure, but he can't guarantee that I'm going to score the 3-pointer. In the same sense, God can, yes, possibly there could be people that all worship God at the same time. However, he can't guarantee it because it's up to the person. There's a big distinction between the two.
The point is, that's not addressing the argument.
When you say he can't guarantee it, you're just saying that he can't actualize the world. You're saying, yes, he can actualize the world, but he can't. That's all I'm saying.
Like he can't.
Oh, you're saying something different?
He's trying to create a contradiction. That's why.
Yeah, if you can't guarantee something, that just means there's a
that
sense
it's possible.
in which
Right, that is possible, right?
Okay, so okay.
If you're saying, this is literally what you're saying. It's possible for God to actualize a world where everyone just of their own accord, from their own free will, always choose the good. But
he might fail.
It maybe not.
One sec, Jack, you're basically saying this. You're saying this is why, by the way, I'm saying it's the exact same thing as a triangle having 7 sides. You're basically saying this. Can God guarantee that people have the option to go against him, but then guarantee that they'll go with him? It's like,
what does guarantee mean?
Very good point.
Yeah, I'm not talking about. I'm not saying anything about guarantees.
No, because listen,
there's none of that language. Look at the premises, right? There's no language of guarantees. So here's the premises. God. Maybe I'll make it a little bit more explicit, right?
Say
God can choose to actualize, right, any logically possible state of affairs. So if he wants a logically possible state of affairs to be instantiated, right? To obtain, yeah. If he wants a logically possible state of affairs to obtain, nothing bars him from doing so. That's what I understand omnipotence.
I'm perfect. And just so we can add to that, since I know you want to just focus on your premises, but I'm going to ask a question about that premise so we can both be on the same page. I know you don't like the word guarantee, but I have to ask you about this premise. In this premise, you're basically saying that God, for example, can guarantee a possibility where people can go against him, right?
I'm just saying that if I'm just saying that one of the worlds that God could imagine creating, right, because it's logically possible, is a world in which all creatures freely choose the good at all times. Right?
Yes.
Now, he can say, okay, that's a world that I could create.
Pause,
it's
Jack.
logically possible.
I have to ask a question, though, before you dive in deeper, though. In this world where people freely choose to worship him, does God not guarantee them? Because it's freely, right?
None of that is relevant to the question.
No, it is. Jack, right now, Jack, what's crazy is this. You understand the issue with your premise, and when I point it out to you, you wanna derail the conversation. It's crazy to me. It's the same as saying...
Okay, hold on 2 seconds.
Here's why.
Moshi, we're going to settle down. Look, Jack has been very cordial with you. All right, just settle down. If you suspect him of being any certain way, just do it. Just explain it cordially, please.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize. On my bad.
Okay.
Yeah, look, I'm giving you an argument, right? And I'm asking you to address the argument, right? And so the way to address the argument is to reject a premise or to show me that there's an error in the form of the argument, right? So the argument is that God can choose to actualize any logically possible world, a world in which free creatures always choose the good is a logically possible world.
Absolutely.
Therefore, God could choose to actualize that world.
Okay, Jack. About premise 1, if I may, okay? Yes,
but which premise are you rejecting?
Jack, just listen.
He's rejecting premise 1.
Jack, I'm saying that you're literally saying that I'm gonna say what you're saying, how it's kind of like, and then I'm gonna explain it before you jump in, okay? If I may. You're basically saying God should be able to create a triangle with 7 sides, and the reason why
that's not what he's saying. Why are you
saying
guys,
a triangle with 7 sides?
This is crazy. I specifically said,
hold on,
is logically impossible.
Not fair, guys. That's not fair, Alex. I specifically said,
hold on.
A triangle with 7 sides is logically impossible, right? So I'm not asking if God can create a logically impossible world. I'm asking if he can create a logically possible world. And you're agreeing that the world in question is logically possible. So it just follows that God can actualize.
Okay, I know that. I know that's what you're saying. But like I said before, I'm going to give the example of why it's kind of like that, and then I'm going to explain it. So, and I said, literally, don't interrupt me. Let me explain it. Everyone just jumped in. Can I please explain how it's identical to triangle?
I think what would be better is if you just told me which premise you denied.
What's crazy is, like, Jack, even then, you still don't let me finish how it connects the two.
So I've asked you a question, and you're wasting my time, right?
Okay,
I've asked you to deny a premise or show me.
If this is not worth your time, you can leave.
Well, honestly. I'm explaining to you what would be not a waste of my time, which is for you to address the argument. And there's two ways. There's 2 ways for you to do that. You can tell me which premise you deny, or you can tell me what rule of inference I've violated.
Brother, I'm saying I agree with all your premises. God can do this. Okay. I agree with everything. But what I'm saying is this doesn't prove anything because you're missing one point.
He's saying the argument's invalid then.
Yeah, look, you're missing the entire point.
No, the problem is if you accept the premises, the conclusion follows.
The conclusion follows. Yeah.
You're just conceding at that point.
Yeah, if you accept all his premises, that's it.
Logic.
Sorry, what was wasn't the conclusion? God could have done that. Was that not the conclusion? Yes, I agree with that. He could have.
The premises.
No, but if the conclusion is God could have done that, I agree with that. God definitely could have done that.
Right.
I agree with the conclusion. If he can guarantee that humans have the ability to go against him, then yes, he can do it. Like, what you're saying is this, basically, like, in this possible world, he's guaranteeing that people have the option to go against him. That's what he's guaranteeing.
So, are you rejecting a premise, or do you have a problem with the validity of the argument?
I'm saying the premise is true, but you guys are misinterpreting the premise. It doesn't mean what you're saying it means. You can't say in one breath that God can get, because to say that humans can choose to worship God, it means they can also choose not to worship God. Can we all agree on that, please? Can we all agree on that, guys? If humans can choose to worship God, they can also
here's another way to state what the argument is. If God wanted to, could he actualize the world in which if he said to himself, you know what, I want a world in which all beings freely choose the good, right? That's the world that I want, right? And then he said to himself, okay, that's the world I'm going to create. Could he fail?
If God wanted to create a world where every person freely chooses to worship him?
Freely chooses the good or whatever.
Okay. In this particular case, God does want that. That's why he created heaven. He can't make it so every... No.
I didn't ask you that. You're not answering my question, right? So I'll repeat the question. If God said to himself, what do I want today? All right, I want to create a world in which there are free creatures in it, and those free creatures always choose the good.
Okay.
Right?
No,
and now, you know what? He can't.
No, he can't. Because he can't guarantee it because it's up to the person. So he can't guarantee that.
The thing is, I thought you said that it was logically possible
because
that world to exist.
Because the reason why, Jack, is because it is logically possible that if I roll 3 dice, they all end up landing on 6. It is logically possible that those 3 people just so happen to want to worship God. But God can't guarantee that they would want to do that. It's free will. Because Jack, if you listen to what you're saying, by saying they are guaranteed, but by saying that they have the option, free will, to worship God, that means they also have the option not to worship God. So you're saying how is it? So you're saying, oh, God is limited because he can't guarantee that these people that also have a guarantee that they don't have to worship him. Do you see what I'm saying, bro? Like what you're saying.
Why are you obsessed with guarantees? What is happening?
If you're just saying that God's omnipotence doesn't include his capacity to actualize, doesn't include a capacity to actualize any logically possible world, then...
No, but the thing is, it's not a logically possible world because then
he can create a logically possible world 70% of the time. But
you agreed it was logically possible.
Like, what are you saying
earlier?
I'm saying it's
so you don't think God is all powerful, right? Like,
if you guys say that he's incapable for being able to do that, then you're literally saying that God should be able to create a triangle with 7 sides. Literally.
Then you're just saying that the world is logically impossible.
You're either
no. I'm not saying
the second premise.
I'm not saying the world is logically impossible. I'm saying it's a possibility that the people within this world could worship him, but it's logically yes, it is logically impossible for God.
It's a contradiction.
Wait, hear me out. I'll say this. How about this? It's logically impossible for God to give people free will and then force them to worship him. That's literally.
I didn't say anything.
No one said anything about forcing.
That's not the argument.
It's like if people in heaven, right? People in heaven have free will, yet they're choosing to be good only, right? Because there's no evil in heaven, right?
Because they chose to, yes.
Right. That's a logically possible world under.
Yes,
right?
And the mechanism behind that
and the question is I'm
yes.
still fucking talking. And the question is, basically, why didn't God create this world here, right? It's not about why did he not create it, 70% of the time or guarantees and stuff. Just engage with what Jack's saying, right?
Bro, I can't tell if you guys are being serious, honestly. Like, what Jack is saying is this. Literally, he's saying this.
I tried to dumb it down.
Why can't God create a world where he forces people to worship him freely?
I didn't say anything about force people.
When you say they have free will, but they worship him, no matter what, and God listen, logically,
so God forces people to be good in heaven? Is that your view?
No, it's not. They would do it.
Then what the fuck are you talking about?
No, the difference, guys, it's a false comparison because the heaven, the mechanism. Listen, pause. The mechanism behind heaven even existing is because there necessarily had to be earth and hell. Like God can't just create it's logically impossible for God to guarantee it, but
you're
it's
just
possible for him to do it.
contradicting yourself now because because you said before that what explains why they always choose the good is because of their desires.
But there necessarily had to be people that chose bad that don't exist in that world.
That doesn't follow, though. See, the point is, if all that explains why they always do the good is that they have the desire to do the good, right? Then I don't see what the logical bar is to God creating being with desires to do the good. I don't get it.
The thing is, what you've done now is you've literally compared heaven to this hypothetical world, and it's not a good comparison.
I was asking you what the logical bar is.
It's not a good comparison because with
I'm
heaven,
asking you what the logical bar is.
Jack, I'm trying to explain to you. So
Just
please
tell
listen.
me what the logical bar is.
I'm trying to explain to you,
He
Jack.
Do you
doesn't
understand what I
understand
mean
the
by a
question. He
logical
doesn't.
bar? Do you understand
doesn't.
what I mean by that?
Why is it logically impossible for him to guarantee it? Is essentially what you're saying.
I didn't say anything about guarantee, right? I said if it's the fact that they have because they have desires to do the good that explains why they always do the good, right? I'm asking what the logical bar is to creating beings that have that desire, rather than the desires to do the bad.
Okay, then
right?
I guess I don't understand what you mean by what do you mean by logical bar? What does that mean?
What logical contradiction?
Because the logical contradiction is this, and I'm going to say it very simply, okay? If this hypothetical world that he creates is a world where they freely choose to worship him, right? Are you with me, Jack, or no? Do they freely choose to worship him?
You tell me.
No, Jack. No, it's a hypothetical world you're bringing up. I'm asking you about the hypothetical the world that you're bringing up to me. You're saying, can God create this world? I'm just asking about this world.
You're saying that desires, right?
Jack,
Explain
answer
the
the
good,
question. Answer the question, Jack.
Listen to what I'm saying. You're saying that the desire to do the good in free beings explains why they do the good, right?
Yes.
Okay, so my question is, what's the logical bar to God creating beings with those desires?
Because they choose their desires.
Can you not understand
yeah.
the question, or are you just being dishonest?
That's just so Moshi. It seems like when you say that, you're just saying they desire their desires. Am I hitting that right, Jack?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Jack. Maybe if we talk about this hypothetical world that you brought up, maybe then we'll get to a conclusion where we can both like understand each other. Because I don't get what you're saying. If that's okay, without getting interrupted, please, Jack. You're saying in this hypothetical world, human beings freely choose to worship God, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If they freely choose to worship God, doesn't that mean that they can choose not to worship God? Is that option available? Yes or no, Jack?
Not in my view, but
okay.
have.
Okay, Jason. Well then, oh, sorry, Jack. Well then, if that's the case, then we have different definitions of free will. Free will, in my mind's eye, is something where they can choose not to worship God. Can we agree on these definitions?
Yeah, you can say that they can choose to not worship God.
Which means God created an opportunity in this hypothetical world that you brought up where the person they are able to go against God. This is the world that you brought up, right?
Well, it seems to me if you had good desires, right,
it doesn't
you would
matter.
never choose the good, right?
Jack, you're literally moving away from it again.
No,
Jack,
he's saying that they could do it, but they never would, right? Just like the people in heaven. Why are you not understanding?
Yeah. Okay, the difference.
Well, I'm not really understanding your view because
this is my point,
if you're saying their desires explain why they do good, right? Then I don't understand how it is that they end up doing bad if they desire to do the good.
Okay, this is essentially what you're saying. You're basically
because you said something about choosing desires, right?
Wait, Jack, pause. Jack, please,
so
can we?
That's just pushing the question back, right, to the desire as to which desires I should have, right?
Okay.
But if you had a good desire, if you had the desire only to choose good desires, that would explain why you have good desires, right?
The difference, okay, Jack, the problem is this. Okay, here's basically what you're giving the example of heaven, how this is a possible world, and why couldn't God just make it heaven?
I just don't understand why you don't answer the question I ask you. So listen to what I'm saying.
Jack, because Jack, you're missing the points.
Well, listen to what I'm saying, okay? And just focus. You're saying that their good desires explain why they do good. So when I asked you, how is it that they do evil? You said something about how they choose their desires, right? So presumably they have a desire to have the desire to do the good when they choose that desire, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so that just pushes the question back because they can't choose their desire. They have to start out with some desires, right, that they don't choose.
No. What I'm saying is this: they're sure.
Do they
By
have to start out with some desires that they
they
don't
can.
choose or not? That's a yes or no question.
Yes, Jack. I'm going to answer your question, but please
Just answer no.
Yes,
Do
yes,
they?
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Now,
yes,
so here's my question to you. If that's
yes.
the case, why doesn't God create beings with the desire to choose
Because
to
Jack,
have good
you're missing the point.
desires?
Jack, these desires can influence one's decision.
So
However,
they don't explain it.
it's ultimately
I think
their decision.
I think you need his view is that you need to have good and bad desires in order to have free will.
This is literally, guys. This is literally what I've been saying from the beginning. Literally, and Jack, please, I went through your line of questioning, and we've literally gotten to this point. Can we please go through mine, and maybe we'll get somewhere? Honestly, dude, like I'm saying this, okay? Free will is by definition, and my definition, and this is what. Can we agree on this definition for the axiom for when we continue on? It's something where a being or some entity has the option to go against God. Are you with me? Can we say that? Yes or no?
Okay, it's your
Yes,
view
but
that
Jack,
you're
no, but
describing.
no, but Jack, but then you would, if you agree with this terminology and what it means, then you have a choice to either change this hypothetical world of yours or keep it. Do you agree? Can you agree that this is what we can say what a free will is? Can we agree on that?
Well, that's
Just,
these are your terms.
no, but it's important for us to come to an understanding on this term because
He
you're using it in a
understands what
hypothetical
you
world.
mean by that word. Continue.
Okay, but can he agree that can we use it for this discussion on this is what it means?
Yeah, that's what he means by I
We've always
understand.
been using
Okay.
your terms.
Okay, perfect. Then that means in your hypothetical world, these beings have the option to go against God. Which means God, in your hypothetical world, God is guaranteeing them an opportunity to go against him. But then also in your hypothetical world, you're saying, oh, but God, even though he guarantees them an opportunity to go against him, he guarantees that they always go towards him.
I didn't say anything about that.
But to say that God creates a hypothetical world where these things and humans go towards him all the time, it means you're saying that they're restricted from that opportunity to go against him. It goes the exact opposite of what free will is. That's why I'm saying it's like a triangle with 7 sides.
No, it's not like that. Imagine there's an ice cream shop with 2 flavors in it, right? And God creates someone that just hates chocolate and always picks vanilla. It doesn't mean that they can't choose chocolate. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, Mosh, you're not addressing what Jack
Oh no,
said
sure.
about preference.
That's fine. That's fine. And by the way, that's why heaven's a great example.
So what's
Sure.
the problem?
No, the problem is this. Heaven, sure, is a great example of this. A situation where people choose to go against God. Absolutely. But the difference is this. Heaven is not all that there is. There necessarily was there's people chose to go
I'm not
against.
addressing what Omar is saying.
Okay, no, then if that's the case, then no, I disagree. It's logically impossible for God to create an existence where these people worship him all the time, and that's all there ever was.
I don't understand. You're saying that. I thought you were agreeing that because you like chocolate, that explains why you choose it when you're given a choice between chocolate and vanilla. If you like chocolate and you hate vanilla, what explains why you choose chocolate when you're given a choice between chocolate and vanilla is the fact that you hate chocolate. I thought that was what you were agreeing to.
Absolutely, Jack. But there are also instances where people love chocolate, but they might try vanilla, even though they know they love chocolate, just to see how vanilla tastes like. In this example, God can't guarantee that even though they like chocolate, they might not.
Well, the example is that they hate vanilla and they love chocolate. So why do they choose vanilla?
Okay, well, for example, I hate going to the gym and doing sit-ups, but I might do it just to feel the pain again of doing the push of sit-ups. You can't force them to not, like, just because someone hates something, it doesn't mean they won't do it.
No, Moshi, you agreed that the reason someone chooses something is a preference. And if you agree with what Jack's saying, then you just simply pushing it to some higher preference or whatever, some different preference is still gonna...
Okay, then I retract. What I meant to say is that these preferences, these desires can influence one's decisions, but it's ultimately up to the person.
Well, by up to the person, you just mean it doesn't have an explanation.
No, I'm saying the person decides what they want to do. It's free will.
Yeah, but I'm asking...
But isn't what they want to do going to be determined by their preferences?
No, not at all, because their preferences could be to go to watch TV, but they end up wanting to do something else just because they wanted to. They want to switch things up. It's their choice.
When you say "cause" there, you're really just... That's a misnomer, right? There isn't an explanation. It's a brute contingent fact on your view.
Sure. If you want to view it as that, it's just a person has a decision and it's their self. Their self can be influenced by their desires. Like, for example, like people might want to commit sin, but they don't because they want to go against what their desires are. It is what it is. That's just what, like, they can choose to go against their desires.
It is what it is.
This happens every day. No, but this happens every day.
You're just saying that freedom consists in random eventuation.
I'm not sure what that means. But if it means that they get to choose, but they're influenced by desires, then yes.
No, get to choose is you're just using language in a funny way, right? Get to choose means that nothing explains what they do.
Like like, wait, hold up, like Jack. Right now, you might have desires to go call a go fucker, right? But however, even though your desires are that, you might not because for whatever reason, like
Don't
you might
say
want
because. Don't say for whatever reason, because then you're appealing to an explanation, right? And that's not your view.
Okay, so
if
Jack,
you could appeal to the explanations, you'd have determinism, which is what you're denying. There's no because.
Okay, so
Because if it was because, if the things that you were about to appeal to would explain why I did the other thing, then you'd have determinism, which is what you're rejecting, right? So there's no because about it. It's just a fact that has no explanation.
Can't you have a compatibilist worldview?
You're not a compatibilist.
Wait, why not? Why can't it be compatibilist?
Because a compatibilist doesn't think that choices are brutally contingent, which is what you just affirmed.
But why can't it be both at the same time?
It's because they're defined in opposition to each other.
No, but there are people that hold the compatibilist worldview, right? Where it's both at the same time.
Yeah, but the problem is that if you're a compatibilist, God can guarantee what the future outcomes would be.
Like compatibilism would make your view 100 times worse, because if compatibilism were true,
right, I get that. Yeah.
And everyone choosing the good in a compatibilist sense is logically possible, then God could literally just cause it to be the case.
Right, and then it still be the free will of the person.
Mm-hmm. So you can't be a compatibilist.
Right, it would have to be from a determinant. That makes perfect sense. I get that. So hold up, can I ask you a question then? Let's just say God decided, like, let's just say that God could have actually done that somehow, actualized an existence where people's 100% their free will, but he made it so they can't go against him, even though it's their free will. Let's just say that's the case. What's the point of that? Is it why didn't he do that? Is that the question?
Absolutely.
Well, so are you suggesting then? And I'm genuinely asking. Are you suggesting that world would have been more fair or better?
Of course.
Why?
Because there's no evil in it.
But
it's in accord with God's will, is whatever your definition of good was. That's why.
But the thing is, like,
To be perfectly in accord.
But the thing is, God decides what is good, and from God. So then, what you would then have to prove is that God deciding there being an opportunity for evil is bad, but then God is the essence of good. So how can you say that?
No,
like,
listen, you're not understanding.
What if God just wanted to do that? Like,
no, you're not understanding, right?
Sure.
I'm just saying that if you understand evil as being something that's inimical to God's desires, it just follows that a world without evil is going to be a better world.
No, but he didn't create evil. He created the opportunity for people to go against him, right? Are you with me on there?
I'm understanding evil as to what God doesn't want.
No,
right?
God, the way I see is evil as something that goes away, something that's against God.
God wants things to be against him?
No, he doesn't, but it doesn't necessarily mean that God would want to not create an opportunity where people can go against him. Because to create an opportunity where people can go against him can create a being that's better than an angel because they choose to worship him when they didn't have to. So basically what I'm saying is this. Okay, listen carefully, Jack. What I'm saying is this, okay? Yes, God does not want us to go against him. He doesn't want us to commit evil. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that God wouldn't want to create an opportunity for people to do evil. The reason why is because by creating an opportunity, it creates it could be a mechanism behind creating a creation that's better than an angel. Because the whole point of a human as a creation is that they're better than an angel because they chose to worship God. So yeah, just because
that's consistent with them always choosing the good.
Sorry, no, it could be that they do evil, but then they repent right after, and then that is
it's consistent with that view that they always do the good.
Right, but you're suggesting that somehow him creating an opportunity for people to do evil is worse than him not.
I'm saying that if God hates evil, right, which I take it is what your view is, if he hates evil and he can create a world without it, that's a world he would prefer.
But the thing is, even in your hypothetical world, evil, the opportunity to do evil still exists. Absolutely.
Look, you're not listening. So I've got a choice between two things I could have, right? A world in which all the things in it are things that I love, or a world that has things in it that I hate, right?
Yes.
Now, if I'm rational, which world am I going to actualize?
The one where it's everything that you love, of course.
Yeah, so that's the problem of evil.